How y'all doing today? My name's Zain, and today's topic of discussion is going to be the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance. Now, when I'm thinking about this topic, I'm thinking about my mind. One of the first things my mind goes to is easy ways of doing things. Sometimes they may even be shortcuts. And I'm going to actually talk about two sides to the path of least resistance. Now, I'm thinking about it, one from a positive, one from a negative. The first one I'm going to think of for the positive, we're going to talk about the negative first, but I'm going to discuss the positive up front. The path of least resistance, it can be a good thing. It can be a good thing in the sense that when it comes to dealing with, relationships, interactions, there's healthy ways that you go about doing things. With this, I would think that some people may confuse this as saying, well, least resistance, isn't that like giving into a situation? No, it doesn't necessarily have to be. And actually, from some of the ways that I talk about in my book, Kilimanjaro's The Arithmetic of Family Communication, when I'm talking about dealing with challenging relationships, challenging interactions that you have with some of your loved ones, some of the stuff you're able to just nip in the bud, and it does make it a path of least resistance and being a healthier way for you to deal with that interaction because you already know how things are going to plan out, and you're just kind of cutting it short from the standpoint of you're not even letting it get to a point of, being a point of contention or an altercation. So that's one aspect of looking at a path of least resistance. It's just like, knowing what you're wanting out of that relationship, what you're wanting from that path. You're wanting a relationship free of unnecessary rigmarole and bickering and just general conflict. Path of least resistance, it can be a good thing. Because like I said, you're nipping it in the bud, you're containing those interactions to where they don't have any choice but to be left as something positive, or at least something that you're able to deal with walking out of it. So that's one way, one positive. I'm thinking about the path of least resistance. But the negative is what spurred pretty much this topic and what I'm talking about. But if you follow my videos on this channel, you know that I do like to have a well-rounded view of everything that we're discussing, because I know since you're watching a video, you may not necessarily be able to ask questions in that moment, even though you're free to send them to my email, ain.kilimanjaro@gmail.com, any questions that you may have. And if I have time, I'll answer them in a video. I'll do my best to answer them in a video. But I try to cover it all in here, so these videos are self-contained. But when I'm thinking about a path of least resistance from a negative standpoint, I'm thinking about shortcuts, easy ways to do things, stopping stuff just at a moment's notice, just because it's too challenging, it's too hard, giving up on things, giving up on yourself easily, and it's the path of least resistance. And as we all know, when you're doing things in life, things aren't going to always be easy. Now, I'm the first one to tell you, I don't like challenging things. I know you hear that all too often. People go, well, I actually like a challenge. What type of challenge do you like? Because a lot of times challenge is met with resistance, and it is hard, and it really depends on your mindset of how you deal with challenges. So to actually stand by that, for me to just overall say, I like challenges, no, I can't say that. But as we know, life's not perfect. You're going to deal with challenges. You're going to deal with roadblocks that pop up, and you have to know how to overcome these things. You have to build resilience. You have to fortify yourself, so the next time that you come up against this or something like this, you're able to easily do that. And what we're talking about when we're talking about the path of least resistance is not always the best. If you're always taking the shortcut or the easy way out to keep from doing something because, it's just too hard, where does your growth come from? Think about it this way. If you had on a pair of shoes, and I do believe I'm pretty much sure I used this analogy in another video. If you had on a pair of shoes that you had gotten, when you were 7, 8 years old, and you never had the opportunity, or you just felt so comfortable with those shoes, you never wanted to try any other shoes. As your body started to grow, your toes would become cramped in those shoes. This would be known as a growing pain, along with some bunions, some calluses, some other foot problems that you may have. So you would have to go out and get you another pair of shoes. Might not be the same pair of shoes. You might even find some that's better that you like. You might choose an entirely different shoe altogether. You may switch over to boots or something else of that nature. But if you don't, and you just try to keep it contained because it's just easier to not switch over to a newer pair of shoes, and I know it being 7, 8 years old, you're not really worried about funds for getting the shoes. That'd be something that your parents were talking about, but I'm just talking about all of the reasons why you would just want to stay in these pair of shoes. You would experience growing pains. Now, initially, it might be easy for you because you're just like, look, I'm gonna keep wearing them because I like these shoes. But eventually, as things start to grow, it would become cramped and it would be hard upon you. And then you'd be forced to switch anyway, okay? Because you'd be forced into problems, or your toes would eventually just poke through the shoes. So it's the same thing with things in life. Sometimes there's things, well, it's not sometimes, a lot of times things come up that you have to just deal with. And you can't stick your head in the sand about it. You can't try to run and find the close, the easiest way up out of there. And even if that does work, and sometimes I'm sure on some things that it does work, because that's the reason why there's shortcuts available. People, they take alternate paths in the things that they do. But you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, is it really beneficial for me? Is it beneficial for me in the long haul, just because I don't want to deal with it now? I just wanted to take time out to bring this topic to light. I'm thinking about the path of least resistance. For whatever you may be facing in your life, think about the long haul, or what it is that you may have to end up dealing with down the road. This video kind of goes in line with another video that I made when I'm talking about worrying about what other people, doing and how they're accomplishing their goals. And maybe they might not be doing certain things right, or maybe they may be doing shortcuts and it's working for them, and you're frustrated because you're just like, it seems like I'm doing everything the hard way, and then you're letting it bother you. You're not in their shoes. You're not experiencing their growing pains. So this is something that you have to be mindful of, since you have on your own pair of shoes. You're going to experience your own growth. What's best for you. And then when you really think about it and you reflect back on it, on any time that you have had growth or things that have challenged you, ask yourself, was it better in the end? Even if it was a negative experience, did you not learn enough from it to where you're like, I know I don't want to go down that path again, even though that was long and hard and it might have been some years lost on whatever that was. At least I know what to look out for. Think about it. Just food for thought. In the meantime, if you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on my other social media, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. Check out the book that I've written that I mentioned earlier in the video. I'll leave a link in the description box. You can get the book on Amazon. And until next time, stay encouraged. Avoid being discouraged. My name's Ayin. You have a good one.